This is such an interesting space, you know, to step into meditation and divine guidance with an audience, right? I don't even know if this is going to record well, but we'll see how it goes. I got my tea. I'm preparing my divine vessel, and just to understand and get into my body. I'm gonna trust. I woke up today remembering my dreams, remembering that I'm not the only one that has dreams, setting myself apart. That's not true. I never set myself apart. The divine set me apart. I couldn't fake this even if I tried. Dismantling and designing, dismantling and co-creating. We're all present and we're all uncomfortable. And if you haven't gotten uncomfortable, then how can you even find comfort? Someone else's discomfort should make you uncomfortable. It should help you remember that we are all fragile pieces of this intricate web of life. I choose to sit still even though everything is moving. I choose to accept silence even though everything is loud. I'm sure if I could hear my heartbeat, I'm sure if I could hear my lungs fill with air, I'm sure if I could hear every cell multiply and divide, excrete and absorb, it would be deafening. Nature herself provides a rhythm, a song that most people have forgotten that they're a part of. When you are a part of a band, you tend to know your part. You tend to know the limitations of your part in that set, but you also see the freedom. When you are creative, meaning you are tied into spirit and into body, you create. When you are self-destructive, you actually take apart and divide by the nature of destruction. And you call it progress. You'll call it evolution. But in true evolution, it is done in a slow fashion, not quick to press buttons or pull triggers or drop bombs. Because when you are creative, when you are progressive, you see the ripple effect of all your actions. You value those beyond yourself, but know that yourself is the main reason and cause. Who here has not allowed themselves to be fully themselves because they are wrapped up in what it is they think that they should be doing? What are you called to be doing? What conversations are you called to be in? What conversations are you called to listen to? Do you listen, or do you just talk? Talk to be heard, to be seen? Do you distract others when they are in the flow of divine universe? Are we crabs in a bucket, or are we ants growing mountains? Mountains of ourselves, mountains of our own actions. Both. But we can choose collectively to lean into one side or another. But you must have discernment. Discernment to be able to tell the difference. between who is the crab and who is an ant. Because both will be working, both will be doing things, both have hard external shells and are extraordinarily strong, but in different ways. With ants, the many make their life. But like the ants, they do, at a certain point, self-destruct. And you can't control the ants no matter what you think you're doing. Governments attempting to control the consciousness of people is impossible. Attempting to house the energetics of Earth, it's impossible. And without the invariability that is the constant, you will just self-destruct every time. Passion is a fuel given to the artist. And that engine, that vessel is their body. Who are we? What do we choose to be? Who do we choose to be as a society? I've been trying to come back because clearly somebody thinks I'm attractive. The vessel of the divine in the most goddess-like form. Thank you. However, that's not what I'm here for. That's not what I'm here for you for. For my divine counterpart, yes, of course. I'll be there in that capacity. Yeah, I know. But, for you, I choose to receive messages of the divine and interpret them in a way that you can and hopefully will over, under, and stand together unified wise. If this was just like a quarter inch longer, I wouldn't have to think about it. But I realize that that's part of the nature of it. Becoming uncomfortable so that I can give comfort to the masses. Comfort in the sense that change is here and is happening and has always been happening. Apologetic. I have a whole apology series that I don't think I've posted. An apology series so that everyone understands that we didn't mean it to be this way. Humanity's structure. It's lost. It's confused. It's mistaken. It's mistaken itself as its own enemy. When heaven is here on earth. Some people create hell of it because that is all they know. The justification that anyone needs to be better than anyone else is propaganda at its fullest. Since we are all created equal, since we are all one, this whole concept of Agenda 2025, Agenda 2030, I can never really vibe with them. It's not cognitive dissonance that I shut down in, because that's where a lot of people go with it. It's how dare they think that they can control when we ourselves have not even mastered ourselves. We assume that we know, but we don't even have knowledge from 4,000 years ago. We have hypotheses. We burn libraries. The ignorance, channeling out schools, removing genetic information. And we assume that because we have programmed into the human the technology to read the system that we know what it's going to do, and we all know that true understanding of our godliness, of our divine nature, We can never predict what's next, because a miracle is just that. There would not be the definition, the word, the concept of miracle unless it was possible. Unless it was woven into the fabric of the genetics that create us today. The miracle is. Dystopian. The thing with dystopian, topia, pia, look it up, the storyline. I have this really cool book. I should have brought it. I'm really thinking I was gonna, like, you think you're gonna do all these things, but you don't. I think I'm gonna go in a full channel message, and I end up sitting here preaching to the choir that may or may not be listening, but staring at my boob, waiting for it to pop out of my shirt. Tragic. It's not an appeal. I could wear anything. This is what I'm comfortable in. Technically, I'm comfortable in less. That's why they held it so high. It took a trek. Sometimes I do feel Delphiacally oracle. Aren't you happy that there's some vocabulary words left to define it? And then I could say it as God's messenger, Allah's peacekeeper. Sometimes I think, sometimes I feel, but always I know. Sometimes my emotions will override my thinking. Sometimes my emotions will override that sense of knowing. But ultimately, once the emotions calm down, once I've processed and alchemized it through the system, why I've sat in uncomfortability, because I was afraid to show up as myself. And myself, be it uncomfortable or not, always has something to say. Do not look at the tragedies in the world and do nothing. What is your body saying? And is your body numb, and why? Why are you numb? What has conditioned you into this numb state? What has conditioned you into self-destruction? The overconsumption, the delusion that you are separate from everyone else. We are whatever we say we are, but we don't always know what we're saying. You see, children at the moment of birth, whether they can hear or not, whether they can see or not, they are universal antennas for the divine to understand and orchestrate and feel connected here on this earth. The fabric of connection woven into the very essence of their being. Fascia. Trusting that this is where they need to be. So when they come here and we tell them, we don't trust, we harm you, we hurt you, we don't trust ourselves, we feel that we need to violate your personhood and your consciousness with our delusional senses of separateness.